Hello guys, my name is Pixie Wig. Welcome to my tutorial. If this is your first time, please subscribe or like my page to get more videos like this. So I really enjoy making short wigs, and I'm using this cap and my canvas. You can use a mannequin head, of course. I'm using 3 different wigs. I'm using this one that is the X-pression razor cut. I'm also using the 4 flowers by X-pression, and lastly I'm using this Scharry by X-pression. So the reason I'm using 3 different hair is because I want to reduce the amount of hair I have to cut off. So if you're using these 3 different packs, what will happen is that you can actually use this to make about 2 pixie cut wigs. So it's enough to make 2 wigs or more. So I'll start by using the razor cut. I'll take the shortest hair or shortest weave in the razor cut, and I'll start by sewing at the back. You can see that I went really low, and I'll just start sewing from left to right. If you don't know how to sew weave onto cap, please, I have a video on that which I will include in the description. You can go and watch that. So I'm just sewing from left to right using the razor cut, the shortest one in the pack. Like I said, when you do it this way, the amount of hair you have to cut off to get that shape you want for the pixie cut would be minimal. Okay, so that's like one of the secret I use. Instead of using hairs that are all equal in length, you have to cut and cut and cut. Just use hairs that have different lengths, so that the amount of hair you have to cut off to get that shape would not be that much. So I'm still sewing from left to right, and when you're making your short wigs, you have to be patient because it takes a lot of time, especially when you are sewing by hand. You can actually make this with sewing machine, but I felt like doing that, you guys will not really see how this works. So by hand, you actually see the way I'm laying the hair and everything, and after that you can know the patterns and actually use your sewing machine to make this. So you have to be patient. It took me about 2 days to finish this hair, but not all through the day. I made the first day, some hours, and then I continued just so that I can be relaxed and be my best self when I'm trimming this hair. So now I am moving to a much longer hair, not as short as the first one. If you open your razor cut pack, you see that you have different sizes. So I'm moving to a size that's a bit longer than the shortest one, and this is how I'm going to gradually just keep moving from short to long like that. So now, like I said, I moved to a longer one from that same razor cut pack. Okay, so continue sewing from left to right like that. And if you've been watching my wig tutorial, you will see that when I'm making my wigs, I always make sure the ends on both sides meet each other, meet the former weave, just so that it doesn't have that space on the side. It's very important. On the side, you want to make sure it meets. In the middle, you want to take it up a bit. But if you're making this hair at the back, you don't take it up so much. You don't leave that much space. You just leave about 1/4 inch or very little, because you don't want the back to show the caps and everything. So you want to bring it as close as possible to each other. So we just continue sewing this using, as we progress, we use the weave that's a bit longer than the last one. As you can see, I have moved to another weave that is a bit longer than the ones at the bottom. So that's how I just keep progressing. If you open the razor cut pack, you see different sizes of weaves in there. So I moved to another one, and you see that I doubled this because as I go upwards, I want the middle to have that volume. When it comes to short wigs, the middle has to have volume. If it doesn't have volume, it will be too flat, it will be awkward and weird. So it needs to, have volume at the middle. But we're not yet at the middle per se, but I doubled it on this part using that same razor cut wig pack. So I just keep sewing, and after this, then we'll move to the next pack of hair, which is the 4 flowers. Even with this, I'll still have some hair left in my razor cut wig pack. I'll have about half left. Okay, so when I move to the 4 flowers, I will be using just about 2 of it, and I'll still have some left there. So it's time to move to the next pack, and for this I'm using the 4 flowers. So I just took out one pack. It comes in 4 pieces. I took out one and I laid it right there. As you can see, I used my T-pins to secure this. If you can get a T-pin and a head block canvas, I'll be really happy for you, because it makes your work just really easy for you to sew and everything. So I would advise you to get that. Now I'm getting another extra hair doubled. This one I'm holding is doubled, and you can see I'm just placing it from just in the middle. I'm placing it right there in the middle. Okay, I am not getting to the end because I want the middle to have volume. Okay, so you can see I'm just placing from one side to the other, just in the middle right there. Okay, because I want that place, we call it ogo or like we just want it to be kind of bumpy at the back, in the middle at the back. Okay, so you can see I'm adding 2 extra to that part. Just see what I'm doing and do the same thing when you're making yours. So it's good you have your T-pins, but if you don't have your T-pins, you can use your needle to just hold it down, so that as you're sewing from one side to the other, you can pick up the extras you have at the middle, continue down to the other end. So I'm just sewing from one end to the other end, and my middle is really full because I have about 4 weaves in the middle. If you add everything together there, so I'll just pick it up, continue sewing down to the other end. I'm using the same 4 flowers expression pack, and I'm repeating the same thing as I move upward. I placed 2 weaves from one end to the other, then at the middle I added extra 2 to make it have like volume at the middle there. So this is really important, like this is just what defines your short wig. If you don't do it this way, you find out that it will be too flat and it won't really have the kind of fitting you must have seen on other people wearing it. So that's why we do it that way. Okay, you can see the middle is like kind of voluminous, and it shows that it's fuller than the sides. So we sew that from one end to the other end. Now I'm using the last pack, and I'm using this Scharry by X-pression. This one is longer, as you can see, it's longer. And when you are laying this hair, you want to ensure that you are using the bob way, okay, because you can turn it around and it will be flipped or bobbed. So I'm using the bob way for the style I showed at the beginning of the tutorial. So what I'm going to be doing now is very simple. I'll first of all lay it round, just following that shape on the cap right there. I'll lay it round, not round, let's say like a U shape, as you can see, and I'll just sew it from one end to the other. So now that I'm done sewing that part that looks like a U shape, now I'm going to start trying to form how the front is going to look like. Okay, and it's pretty easy. What I'm going to do, so I'll start laying this just straight. You don't want it curved, you don't want it bent. I can hear myself telling my students that make it straight, because they always make that mistake when they are sewing it straight. Before you know it, it gets bent. Like you can see, it's moving. So you have to be conscious of this. So I advise you to use your T-pin to make it straight. If it is not straight, you are not going to have the style. Like you just end up like wasting your time. So please look at it. If you can get like a chalk to draw it straight and follow that chalk line, I would want you to do that. You can see this is actually straight. So please be sure about this, because I've trained a lot of students that end up, I'll tell them straight, and the moment I turn, the hair goes to the right or to the left, and they continue sewing like that, thinking that it is straight, you know. So you have to be conscious of this. You can actually see that mine is straight. So I'll sew this from one end to the other. Then I'll lay it again, straight again, pin it down, sew it from one end to the other. If you don't have a T-pin, please get a chalk and draw the lines. Okay, this is really important. It has to be straight. I can't emphasize it enough. If it is not straight, then you won't get the style you are going for. So I'll sew this from up to down. again, or from down to up, depending on where you want to start that from. So I'll sew this again. I'll continue again, lay another one straight. What I'm going for is a side part. Okay, so I'll keep sewing straight till I get to a particular point, and then you see me do the other side, and then we'll do the final invisible pattern there. I've been repeating the same thing. If you've been watching, I know this video is kind of lengthy, but if I like cut it more than this, you won't actually get the style, because I really want you to see what makes the short pixie hair actually looks the way it looks. These are the tricks that you have to know how to do. So I'm sewing this straight down again, and after sewing this, I'll sew another one before I move to the side. I'm moving to the other side of the head. The same thing applies. It has to be straight, not curved, not bent, not slant, straight. And I'm sewing this from up to down, okay? And then I'll repeat the same process again. So as you can see, I'm back at the other side just so that I can be sure of where I want my pattern to be. I don't want it to be too low, I don't want it to be too high. I just want it directly, where one of my eyes is, So I'm going from one side to the other just to get the perfect place I want the pattern to be. So I'm sewing this, and then I'll go to the other side and sew again on the other side. And after this, we can then do the closing. Very, very easy. But you just have to follow it the way I said it. It's really easy. For the final pattern, this is what I do. I take 2 weaves facing the bob way. I take another 2 weaves facing the other way. Then I put them together. Okay? The part facing the bob wig goes down. The part flipping goes on top. So it's 2 facing the bob way and 2 flipping. I hope you get that. So making 4 weaves together with the same length that fits into that pattern length. Okay, now I'm going to insert my 4 needles right through the hair there, okay, through the weft, and then I'll start sewing from that end to the other. Now when you're sewing the pattern, your sewing has to be as close to each other as possible. Like the tracks have to be really close because you're going to open this up. Okay, and if you notice, the bob part is where I placed facing the downside of the pattern because I'm going to flip the other side over. So I'm sewing this really close to each other. Okay, it looks really fast because I fast forwarded this, but it's really close to each other. If it is not close to each other, if it is not firm, if it is not tight, when you open this up, you see the thread. You're going to start seeing the cap, and you have to lose this all over again. And you are dealing with a cap. When you lose this, some part of the cap might be ripped, and it's just, I don't want you to go through that. So take your time, sew it, let it be firm, not too firm, don't drag it too much, and make sure the tracks are close to each other. When you get to the end, make sure it's firm, then cut out any excess you have. Okay, so now I'm flipping it over, as you can see, and there's no thread showing, the cap is not showing, everything is just perfect. Now to ensure that this stays the way it is, you can use your hot iron, just apply some shea butter on the pattern there and use your hot iron to just press it down, put it on medium heat and press it down, and it will be okay. Now it's time for cutting and just shaping this hair. I love this part, although sometimes it's kind of hard. So I'm using a razor comb. This is the razor comb. It has 2 parts. One of the parts is long, the other part is short. I'm using the short part because the short part cuts it faster. Okay, the long part is when you are not trying to go too short, when you're just trying to make it scanty but as long as it is before now. So you can see I've trimmed this. You don't want to trim this too much, because when our head is bigger than the mannequin head, so on the mannequin it looks like this hair is still long and still big. Please don't be deceived. Always pull it, put it on, and see how it looks on you. The mannequin can be deceptive. You think that, oh, this is too long, it's still not short as I want it to be. You just have to put it on. When you cut a little, you put it on and see the shape, put it back on the mannequin and keep trimming. So you can see I'm trimming both sides, and I took The upper part, I took it up because I don't want to touch that part. I want it to be the length it originally was, so I had to raise it up, and I'm just cutting the lower part. That's the part that matters to me. I'm just shaping, let me use the right word, shaping the lower part. The upper part, I'm not touching that at all, except you want this hair to be really like low and short, just close to your forehead. But if you want it close to your eyes, don't touch the upper part. And I'm not trimming it too much. I'm taking my time. I'm making sure it's random. I'm focusing on the two sides at the lower part, not the back. I'll do the back, but not much, because the back has to have that volume. Okay, so I'm taking my time to explain this to you. Please make sure you wear it and check it out as you do this, because if you don't, when you are done, you find out that, God, it's better you have not cut so much than for you to have cut so much, and now you can't just glue the hair back on. So just take your time and always put this on to see how it looks like on you. Don't trust the mannequin so much. So this is the hair. I'll just go ahead and just trim a little more of this, but I will advise you to always put it on, like I've been saying for like the 100th time. So that's it. After trimming the side, focusing on trimming the side, I'll take my time to comb this out, bring out any extra teddies on the sides that I want, just some sharp ends on the sides. Trim the pattern, because sometimes you might have some strands standing there, but when you use your hot iron on medium heat with your shea butter, it will go down, definitely, but don't heat it too much. Put your shea butter there to protect the hair, since it's synthetic wig, except you're using human hair. So now I'm using my scissors to just trim this. You can see how I'm trimming this. I'm not going straight blunt. I'm trimming it upwards. But if you don't know how to do this, just focus on your comb, okay? Don't do this. So after all this is done, I'll put this on, and you guys are going to see how it looks like on me. And that's just pretty much how to make this hair. If you follow it exactly the way I said it, you should be able to get it. Take your time, don't rush. If it's your first time, you can use about 3 days to make this, so that you can just relax and not be tense to get to the end of the wig, and it makes you rush and everything. So that's it. As you can see, I'm emphasizing on the sides being low and the back having that, upward shape and having that volume. So this is how it looks like on my head. It's just perfect. After wearing it, I didn't do anything. I just used my comb to style it, and this is it. So thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, please comment and like and share, and you can just suggest any other type of hair or tutorial you want me to upload. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.